Welcome back to another video in the Bootstrap tutorial series. Before we look at components, I'd like to show you some Bootstrap utilities. First, we'll look at colors and background colors. Bootstrap provides several classes which you can use to apply color to text and components such as buttons and alerts. Here, we see a list of color class names such as text primary, text success, and text warning. To apply these styles, you simply add the name of the color to the HTML class attribute value. For example, going back to the code, I've applied the three aforementioned color classes to these three divs. Looking at this page in the browser, we see the color of the text in the divs is now displayed using the corresponding Bootstrap color class. Bootstrap also provides classes for background color. These are applied in the same way as the font colors. Jumping back to the code, we can see that these three calls and their content have both color and background colors applied. And going back to the browser, we see what the elements look like with the styles applied. The next utility I'd like to show you is float. This class can be used to float any element within its parent element. For example, here they've applied the class of float start to the first div, and when rendered on the page, it left aligns the content within the div. In the second div, they've applied the class of float end, which right aligns the content. The third, they've given a class of float none, which applies no float. Jumping back into our code, I've applied float start to my paragraph inside the first div and float end to the span in the last call. If we look at this in a browser, we see the styles applied. The Bootstrap position classes can be used to align the position of elements within the page. Quick positioning classes such as position static, relative, and absolute are available, though as noted they are not responsive. To specifically position content within a container, you can use the top, start, bottom, and end properties to position vertically to the top and bottom and horizontally to the left and right positions, with edge positions of 0, 50, or 100%. Looking at the code in this example, you see they've applied the position relative to the container div and position absolute to the divs contained within the container. Looking at the classes applied, you can see how they render the elements on the page. Finally, Bootstrap provides spacing classes which add responsive margin, padding, and gap utility classes to an element's appearance. The margin classes are prefixed with M. The padding classes are prefixed with P. You can further align the margin and padding using the side properties, such as T for top, B for bottom, S for start, E for end, and also add a size from 0 to 5. Some examples of these classes would be MT0 for margin top 0, MS1 for margin start 1, PX2 for padding X2, and P3 for padding 3. The class of MX Auto will center the content horizontally within its container. We'll look at examples of applying position and spacing classes when we move to Bootstrap components, which we will do next.